The Jade Giant has battled both man and monster in his career, and sometimes the line between which is hard to discern. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of the Immortal Hulk issue number 21 and find out for ourselves, shall we? Alrighty then, so as we join the comic, we are once again at Shadow Base. General Fortean has once again been defeated by the Hulk, but worse still, Gamma Flight has absconded with his super weapon, the new Abomination. In an attempt to get it back and to cover his own trail, the General is undertaking a very dangerous mission to invade Gamma Flight's headquarters in the Alpha Flight satellite. He's not going unarmed though, he has the Redeemer armor with him, created by old Hulko the Leader and eventually reused by Fortean's predecessor, General Ross. And essentially what this issue is one giant origin piece for General Fortean. We see him as a young boy in Sunday school learning about how the world was first created and how God separated day from night, bringing order to the formless chaos, or as his priest told him there, God calmed the rage-filled ocean that was the formless universe. And those words about bringing order to chaos would stick with Fortean for the rest of his days, basically making his entire fight with the Hulk up until now that we've seen one giant holy crusade. Now, Fortean knows full well that he's just a squishy human being and that he's not a match for most of the members of Gamma Flight, and because of that, he's going to have to fight smart. He might not be able to beat Absorbing Man and Titania, but he can sure drug them with weaponized fentanyl. It's a far cry from where Fortean began as a soldier, quaking in his boots at the first sight of the Hulk. General Ross worked him through it though, saying there's nothing wrong with being afraid, it's what makes you human. You just gotta remember the people that you're fighting for, like Jacqueline McGee and her father, who we discover the first day she met the Hulk was the first day Fortean did as well. Now, many years later, as we continue on with the flashbacks, we see General Ross's death. Well, the first time he died, this is comics and people die multiple times, don't you know? Fortean was so distraught over the death of his mentor and surrogate father figure, he moved heaven and earth to try and get all the different military generals to put aside funding for what would eventually become Shadow Base, a group that on paper was supposed to be put together to help protect the American government by neutralizing Gamma threats, but what quickly became Fortean's own spear in hunting the great white, or in this case, green whale that was the Hulk. And I really do mean Fortean too, because in the final flashback, we see Fortean actually going to visit General Ross in jail not long after he was outed as the Red Hulk and after his final battle with Doc Green. It seems that Ross in his last moments was just so tired after a lifetime of battling the Hulk. He says that even when he was quote-unquote smart as Doc Green and filled with extremists, he was still just a being of pure rage, forever obsessed with being the strongest that there was. And Ross knows that he'll never be stronger than the Hulk. Heck, he's basically his son-in-law, isn't he? Maybe it's time to stop fighting. Ross wouldn't live much longer after that, being assassinated in the Captain America book, but it only pushed Fortean harder to want to try and do what his mentor never could, to attain godliness in his own way by slagging the chaotic sea that is the Hulk once and for all. But to do that, he's still going to have to get back the Abomination skin, and while he was unable to deal with the superpowered individuals of Gamma Flight, he has no problem dealing with the former Sasquatch. After all, he has no Gamma in him anymore and is very susceptible to bullets. As far as Fortean sees it, Walter's death is righteous retribution for all the crimes he wasn't punished for back during the first arc of this story. But now that Fortean has the Abomination skin back, what's he gonna do with it? They lost Rick Jones, which means he's going to have to get pretty creative when it comes to piloting the skin. He's gonna do it himself, you see. Because despite all his talk about bringing order to chaos, Fortean really didn't know what chaos was until he came face to face with the Hulk. And you know what? If you can't beat him, might as well join him. And it's on that horrifying note right there that the comic comes to a close. And so that was Immortal Hulk issue number 21, everybody, and I gotta say, I really love what Ewing was laying down here. I already thought that General Fortean was a really fascinating character, and this little origin one-shot further confirms that to me. I love the idea that Fortean is an overly religious man, which makes sense considering all the religious imagery that's been going on in this series since the jump. I like that Fortean has such a complicated history with General Ross, Plus, he loves him, but he hated his cowardice for giving up the fight with the Hulk, and yet at the same time made all the same mistakes Ross did in becoming the Red Hulk. It's like just being near the Hulk has this strange kind of maddening, corrosive effect on all the military people who have followed him over the years, from Ross to Talbot and now Fortean. As always, too, Ewing is sure to backload this issue with a ton of interesting little references and callbacks and mythology gags. It's truly wonderful stuff if you've been reading the Hulk for a long time. You know, I don't give this score very often because I'm afraid of cheapening it if I do give it too much, but I truly think this was a perfect single issue. I would give this one a 10 out of 10. And I simply cannot wait to see what happens next.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again. I want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed what you saw, and if you did, why not take a closer look at some of these other videos I have available from the channel. Then you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Cape Joel, so you're always up to speed on what I'm doing next. And hey, if you're in a supportive mood, why not check out my Patreon page? Patrons get exclusive access to videos and content before anyone else, and you can do so for as little as $1 a month. I would really appreciate it, and with that, I will be sure to be back again next time with even more great comic content that smacks of greatness. Bye-bye, everyone.